Is it on already?
I got one favorite, that's
Welcome, dear friends. I think this is probably the largest crowd we ever had in the shul. I don't know, last Shavuos we might have had something like this, but it's very exciting, and I'm glad that you all came to hear a very special speaker that you won't have many opportunities to hear from someone this special, I imagine. And Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe, Shlita, will do a much better job of introducing him because they have a very close relationship and they've known each other for very many years. So I'm going to bring up Rabbi Wolbe to introduce our speaker.
Thank you, thank you. Hello, everybody. So wonderful. It's so wonderful to be here. Thank you, Buskos, Haliga Buskos, for opening up your home to such a great program, to having Rabbi Brody here, and for welcoming me here. 2 months ago, I had the great privilege of being in Israel with a dear friend of mine, and we were about to go to the hotel. We were already there many times on that trip. We were about to pull into Shar Tzion, and I got a phone call from Rabbi Brody, who I had tried to reach earlier that day, and he says I said, "Oh, Rabbi Brody, how are you?" I said, "We want to come visit you in Ashdod. Are you available?" He says, "Anytime you want." I said, "In that case," I put my car in reverse, I back out, and I head straight to Ashdod. And we drive to meet Rabbi Brody in his home, in his studio, workout studio, Torah studio, writing studio, trained counseling studio, everything. It's like amazing place. And then we went to Daven Mincha together with the Melitzer Rebbe. And then I had the greatest experience ever. I had about 60 minutes or so of his photos. And if anybody doesn't know what hisbodedus means, you go out, isolation, and you just converse with Hashem. You talk to Hashem. On the beach in Ashdod with Rabbi Brody. Beat that. That is the greatest thing. My friend was like, I've never in my life experienced such a thing. It was so unbelievable. Rabbi Brody is the person that people call when they're looking for answers in life. Any question that comes up to people, whether it's a physical issue, whether it's a spiritual issue, Rabbi Brody has unbelievable wisdom, he has unbelievable experience, and if you'd please join me, I know it's one day early, but if everyone can please help me in singing happy birthday to Rabbi Brody. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Rabbi Brody. Happy birthday to you. And tomorrow we'll do it again, hopefully, at the Torch Center. Be there, 7 o'clock. So, my dear friends, please open up your hearts to the incredible holy words of my dear friend and Rebbe, Rabbi Lazer Brody.
B'ezrat Hashem, I thank Hashem for a lot of things. Thank Hashem for Torch. Thank Hashem for Rabbi Brody. Thank Hashem for bringing the Rav and Rebbe Buskos Torchwood, opening up Torchwood. Thank Hashem for every neshama that gets closer to Hashem. And thank Hashem for every single moment of life and every single heartbeat, because there were times, say, you're going to be 74? No way. No way. It's a Walt Disney movie. And there were times when I thought I had a life expectancy of another 30 seconds. You go to thinking, then we'll take it back. But at the moment that I thought I had 30 seconds to live, this was a nasty crossfire in downtown Beirut in the First Lebanon War, when a group of special forces guys were sent in to do something. Wasn't much fun. It was dangerous. And not everybody came home. And what happened to me at that moment was, in one moment, I know it was one moment, but it seemed like an eternity. When a person's life is before him, it's about to terminate, then the neshama all of a sudden wakes up. Hey, who's this? Who's this inside of me? I never knew this. The neshama wakes up and says, now you're going to take stock in yourself. When I was in 1982, and I just turned 33, I had accomplishments. Every secular Israeli guy, especially an American guy, was born in America. He came to Israel when I was 21, the day I finished university. I studied at the Agricultural University of Maryland. By agriculture, there's only 2 Jews in the whole faculty of Agriculture, University of Maryland. Another guy is Kenny Goldberg. He was pre-vet. He was going to vet school. And Lazer was going there in Cicero. And that's why I studied agriculture, because I had 2 dreams. I had 2 dreams: to be a fighter and a farmer. Why a fighter? That's the way I grew up. I didn't grow up in a religious home at all, but it was a very Zionistic home. My mom was a Holocaust survivor from Grodno, ghetto. And my dad was a RCAF pilot, Winnipeg. He was the only Jewish pilot in Western Canada. And he had 2 enemies in World War II. He had the Germans, and he had the anti-Semitic Canadian pilots. Stories I grew up with, my father on a bombing mission, he grew this Cornell bomber, this very heavy, slow Canadian bomber that carried a big payload. And it would be accompanied by these 4 lighter Canadian fighter jets. There were no word jets then, they were propeller. But they were small, fast planes with machine guns that would protect this big bomber. Well, the Germans came, with their fighters, and the 4 Canadian anti-Semites, they left my dad all alone. Seriously, this big, slow bomber, and he's surrounded by 8 German planes, and he did all types of aerial acrobatics. Miraculously, Hashem got him home. Hashem got him out. My mom, the day before she left Poland, it was the last boat out of Poland. The girls at school, they decided to play pincushion. And they made her into a pincushion. She came home with a bloody mess. At that moment, my grandfather said, my grandmother from a Swedish family, she wanted to come to America. She said in Yiddish, they're for sure for our father, America is a treife land. They're not going to go there, America is a treife place. He says, you could stay here, that it's not a treife place, but what the good is it if our daughter's dead, my mother's only daughter. So they made it out. And it was the last boat, the SS Podolski, it's a story, that left Poland. It was sunk by the Germans on the way back. And there were 5,000 families at the port. They only had 500 families. So they had a lottery, and my grandparents are number 497. Okay, so here we go. A miracle, my father coming out of World War II, a miracle, my mother coming out of Europe, the rest of the family did make it out. So my dad at Auschwitz. Oh. And then it comes down to Lazer. So Lazer hears about all this stuff as a little kid. I just want to wipe out the anti-Semites in the world. We didn't have, we had Pesach and we had Shabbos candles, but Shabbos by us, we had light Shabbos candles, have a meal, and then go watch the Yankees play the Senators on TV. My parents belonged to a conservative show. Okay, good Jewish people, but religion, observant Jewish, no. Jainism, oh yeah. As a little kid, we had Yitzhak Rabin, and he was ambassador in Washington at our house. My parents, they came, were active in the bonds, they went to Golda Meir. My mother, she was an artist and sculptor. She presented Golda Meir with a bus. This type of family, a little background family. So as a little kid, I know I'm not staying in America. I'm going to Israel. So my whole life represents going to Israel, and this is not going to happen anymore to our people. It's not going to be no more World War II, no more Nazis, no more that. So now the enemy's the Arabs. Okay. We're going to go fight the enemy. We're going to fight for our sense of strength. And on the side, I know how I'm going to do that between the army, but I'm going to be a farmer on the border in a rough place and settle. A farm in a rough place. I did that. I did exactly that. So here I was in infantry special forces, and a farmer, and I had everything that a secular kid would dream of. A beautiful farm up on the mountain, a place called Miami. It's on the border, the old 67 border. Everything. And what looked like, secondly, a good life. But then comes, with the 30-second life expectancy, there's no fear anymore. And I had been injured. I had my right eye was cut open, like a grapefruit. I thought I lost the right eye. Thought I was blind there, but it still had 2 hands and 2 feet. I thought the next barrage, that's going to be on our head. Because they come in, they hone in on you. They know where you are, know where you're hiding. And the first barrage is 200 meters. And the second barrage is 100 meters. And then the third barrage is 50 meters. You know what happens when a barrage of computer missiles lands 50 meters from you? You could feel your pancreas and your gallbladder and your stomach and your large intestine, small intestine, what's called even the hedef, the shock wave. So you could feel a definition of every one of your digestive parts. So if that's it, then the next one, the Katyusha with its payload, within 30 meters, anything within 30 meters is finished. It's dead. So there's so much shrapnel within 30 meters, it's showers of shrapnel. I was now thinking that according to the time, the next barrage comes in, there's nowhere to go. You can't go forward. You can't retreat, you can't go to the side. One side there's snipers from Sabra and Shatila, South Lebanon. The other side, the Syrian artillery is firing off us, and before us, behind us, it's crazy. Boxed in. So I have this deep, deep sadness. Another thing brought me this deep sadness. First of all, the first sadness was when I was in Lebanon. I had a brother who was in Vietnam. He was in the American Army in Vietnam. My parents had lost my older sister when I was 15. I had a 17-year-old sister, and she died of lupus. So here my parents went through, and they did not have an easy life, looking chocolate ice cream. And they lost their first daughter, and this is the worst nightmare. Everyone should have healthy kids to 120 years. Nothing could go see that. Family became, after that, my parents, family became dysfunctional. It was a different family before they lost up. And then the younger kids kind of resented what about us? Chopped liver. It was only our sister, she was only one. But that was their firstborn. They couldn't get over that. Okay. So that happened. And here my brother's in Vietnam, worried about that. And my parents lived in Silver Spring, Maryland. It's a suburb of Washington. And I had this vision of the attaché from the embassy knocking on my parents' door and saying, your second son, your second child is now dead in the gutter. And it brought this sadness up. But there was something that made me even worse. When this neshama, I didn't know neshama then, but it was neshama, woke up and said, Lazer, you've done nothing. You've got nothing to take upstairs. You've got nothing. So I think, what, my farmer or something? Just lighten up, getting too heavy. So I used to raise peaches and plums. I had gorgeous orchards. And I raised turkeys too. You talk to an Israeli turkey farmer and they say, wait, turkeys are dumb birds. You aren't influenced your brain by working 40 years with turkeys? He says, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." He says, so what did you go up? Oh yeah, Hashem, I had these gorgeous plums and these gorgeous peaches and raised turkeys. Not that. Body, 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 body. Everybody, 90% of observant Jews are body, 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 body. Nobody learns about Emunah. They learn about Shabbos, they learn about kashrus, and what to do. Why? Why? Everywhere I go, people observe Jews. And they ask me innocently, why do I have to keep Shabbat? Why do I have to eat kosher? Okay, I know it's in the Torah, but intrinsically, it shouldn't. Why? What's the reason? They don't know. Okay, so with Emunah, there's no questions. Without Emunah, there's no answers. And you find out, so Hashem brought me to the brink of that. So how'd that all happen? Okay, we went in, it was on the farm, one Shabbat, in June of 1982. And this was already my second war. First war was Yom Kippur War. And then my unit, in between the Yom Kippur War and the First Lebanon War, it was all the time as, let's see, after 1978. That's from 1978. From 1978 on, that's when Israel started intervening in South Lebanon. Because the problem, security situation was very acute in South Lebanon. There's a lot of terrorist bombing from South Lebanon. And there was a civil war going on in Lebanon. And the Christians and the Palestinians were fighting for control of South Lebanon. Christians and the Sunni Muslims, which is then the PLO of Lebanon. And it came a time at one mission, 1979, Litani mission, where the Israeli army went into South Lebanon. There was the Litani fortress up on a mountain and cleaned that out. But then it got worse, a lot of bombing, until finally when Menachem Begin was prime minister and Arik Sharon was defense minister, he said it's enough. Every single day, the north of Israel was getting bombed out of Lebanon, bombed out of Lebanon. This was standard. It's kind of like what's going on in Sderot today, but even worse than what Sderot did. So they decided they were going to have a campaign, what's called Shlom HaGalil, Peace of the Galilee, that Galilee should have peace. They go in and they have a mission. It started as a mission, and the mission ended up as the First Lebanon War. Well, the first 6 days of the war were very successful. And Israel fought the type of war it likes to fight, a running war. But then it got bogged down on the 6th day. In the 6th day, where first we were on, my unit was spearheading or leading tanks and on the eastern border, northeastern border where Lebanon, Syria, and Israel come together. And we're riding along, we're expecting the Syria to wake up and help Lebanon. Okay, so we were right on the Syrian border and leading our recon unit, leading their tanks into tanks and artillery at their emplacements. And I don't know if you remember the name Sultan Yaakov. Sultan Yaakov was Zechariah Bomo, the 3 Hester guys that got captured. I found that was right there. I left there right before they went in there. We were kept at exactly where we were. So the 7th day, that bogged down, and a unit went into Beirut. There were 3 prongs. One on, I'm not going to try to get too technical, but just the background. One was on the eastern part where we were. One was in central, it's called the Shuf Mountains of Lebanon. And one was along the coast, where it was Tyre, Sidon, Damour, and then Beirut. The Israeli army got to Beirut, and it had a rude awakening. There was a barrage, tremendous barrage, and a lot of guys got hurt. But in the old days, back in the 70s and the 80s, when one Israeli soldier, it was before the big, certainly before the Ethiopian immigration, before the big Russian immigration, Israel back in the 70s, everybody knew everybody else. If somebody got hurt in the army, your sister was the girlfriend of this guy's cousin. You had some way where you knew this guy, everybody knew everybody else. And so all of a sudden, 50 Israelis got killed in one day. 50 Israeli soldiers. This is, imagine, it's if you heard, heaven forbid, 50,000 American soldiers. And proportionally, that's what it is to us. 50 to us is like 50,000 here. It's crazy. And so they decided, wait, they got to do something. So what did they discover? They discovered that where's this fire? Where's Israeli soldiers getting hit from? The PLO hid Katyusha batteries in the courtyard of the Russian embassy. Now, it's a problem. The Russian embassy, an embassy is considered the national territory of that particular government. And the Russian embassy in downtown Beirut, that's part of Russia, not Beirut. So if someone attacks an embassy, it's like attacking, it's tantamount to attacking that country. So there was an argument between Arik Sharon and Menachem Begin. Arik Sharon says, we've got to bomb the Russian embassy. Because they've got these armaments that they're killing our soldiers. Menachem Begin says, what's going to do World War III? Going to go in with the Israeli army and attack Russia? Can't do that. So Menachem Begin, he was like a Jewish Zaydi. He took it to heart, every soldier. After the First Lebanon War, Menachem Begin became a recluse. He took personal responsibility after say. First of all, he made tshuva, went to Yerushalayim, and fast forward, Menachem Begin, he refused to have a state funeral. He wanted a funeral like a simple Orthodox Jew. His father, by the way, was the Gabbai of Brisk. His father was the one that he crowned the Brisker Road. He said, Yahweh called him to the table. He was a young man. I'll name him I'll hold him in Brisk. They were from Brisk. So Menachem spent his last 6 years of life in total immersion Torah in a little apartment in Yerushalayim. And he didn't have a state funeral. That was Menachem Begin. He took it to heart. He took responsibility. Arik Sharon, not so. Arik Sharon, to save his hide, he gave back Gush Katif. And that's what the leftist will party was had a lot of stuff against him. And so it was an argument. So Arik Sharon, he thought he's going to teach Menachem Begin a lesson. What's he going to do? He says, okay, we're not going to bomb the Beirut embassy. We'll send a group of commandos in there, and they'll have a point-blank range. They've got to get in. They got to get in firing range of the Russian embassy and take shoulder missiles with them and knock out the missile batteries. Okay, it's like saying, all right, we're going to take a group from Torchwood and we're going to fly them to Moscow. They have to go inside the Kremlin and take silencers and hit Putin in the head. Give you what it means, what this message is. So they took a unit and they picked out 12 soldiers, the unit. And one of those 12 was the individual in the speaking to you right now. Okay. So we got an Eastern Front. It was Friday night of Shabbos, and they sent us over the mountains to go to Beirut. We got to Beirut Shabbat in the morning. Shabbat in the morning, get to Beirut, and all of a sudden we don't know what's going on. Nobody briefs us. Nobody said, well, why we're leaving our battle station. We're going to Beirut. We're going to Beirut for it. Nobody tells us. So we get to Beirut, and I had a red eye, crazy. It was first 6 days of the war. We barely slept. Just fighting on the run, and barely slept, almost delirious. The first thing they did, we get a shower, we get 3-4 hours to sleep. This is better in the Israeli army in wartime. This is better than the Irish army. A shower and 3 hours to sleep, they get it quiet. And then we wake up and they bring us into a room like this, and there's this table with full of, we call in Israel pastrama, smoked turkey breast and all this nice thing, and salads and hummus and trina and pito. something's wrong. People are being nice to us. They're not nice to you in the Israeli army, not in my time. What's going on here? It's like fattening up a calf before slaughtering. Right, so then we should shower, eat, and the guy's happy. And then back then, this was before, more than Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola touch with a 10-foot pole. But back then, you're a soldier, drink Coca-Cola. And pitol and hummus and smoked meat. Okay, now we're finished. Into the briefing room. Into the briefing room, there's this colonel from Tel Aviv, and he's got this clean pressed uniform, smells of aftershave. That's what we call in Hebrew a jobnik. Guy's not different, some officer from an office. And he starts showing us the map of Beirut, intelligence of this here, and this there, and there's Russian embassy. He tells us what's going on. What's going on? That the Katyusha batteries in the Russian embassy. And what we have to do, he says, well, you have to get yourself a route through Beirut, get to downtown, get to the Russian embassy, and say, hello, we're here, Israeli guys, we want to destroy those illegal PLO batteries. Pretty crazy. Crazy. It sounded like the dumbest mission in the world. Well, at the time, the commander-in-chief of the Israeli army was Raphael Eitan Raful. Raphael Eitan, he was the commander-in-chief, and our unit answered directly to the commander-in-chief. And he knew a lot of us personally. I had been at his farm. He was also working at a farm in Tel Aviv in Israel, not far from mine. Visited. And I was recon sergeant. It was my job as a recon sergeant. It's like a scout to get him through the streets of Beirut, because I had known the streets of Beirut pretty good. I knew how to navigate my way out. I knew the streets of Beirut. Don't need to know that, but I know it. Wasn't my first time, but now it's the first time doing this. And I'm listening to this plan, and this officer from the Kiryat Tel Aviv, from the headquarters in Tel Aviv, he hasn't been in the grime that we have for the next 6 days. He tells us what we need to do. And he's a full colonel. And I wasn't that one, I was a sergeant major, but at that time I was a staff sergeant, not even officer. And one thing, combat sergeants don't respect jobnik officers. Okay, just don't. And it's the same thing in American Army. Anybody ever been American Army? Okay, it's not. So Lazer was pretty much chutzpah back in those days. And that commander says, okay, could tame a tiger, but can't put fire in a pussycat. So he gives us this whole plan, how we go, we have to destroy these missiles. And I said, that's the dumbest plan I ever saw. Who did that? And the fool said, I did, Commander-in-Chief. And he told me that if it weren't, we were about to do what we were supposed to do, that I'd have been 2 weeks in the break. Okay, so I shut up and listened to this dumb plan. So we have this dumb plan. All right, now we got this dumb plan, and now I can see in retrospect why it's so nice to us. Because I don't know chances of coming back home. And my buddies and I looked together, and we did a lot of stuff together, and it just did not smell good. You have to say, when something negative is about to happen in your life, you have a premonition. This is not good. The premonition. This is also the neshama. The neshama can feel this is not good. So we start off in the mission at takeoff time. This was at about right near noon on Shabbat afternoon, 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. And we're all in very good shape, all very fast, and sprinted. We took off from our takeoff point was in the Christian side of East Beirut. It was an area held by the Christians, and where our briefing was out in this base below the presidential palace. It's a neighborhood Beirut called Abda. And we left there and we took off. And the first 2 kilometers in the town, that was fine. And then we started on the 3rd kilometer. That's when sniper fire started. And that's where it got detected that there's what do they call us in Arabic? They call us Israeli rats. Okay, the rats that used to listen to the Arab, listening to the Arab. That Beirut, in their code, Beirut's been infested with rats. Okay, where are they? There's like coordinates. I know they had spotters. We got spotted. So we're about halfway to the embassy. There's still maybe another almost 2 kilometers left to go. 2 kilometers to get to downtown streets. You want to tiptoe through the tulips, Tiny Tim, get downtown Beirut. No problem. And then the Katyusha started coming. One thing that saves a person from PTSD is when you really believe from all your heart what you did, what you're doing. If someone asked me today, do I believe in all my heart all these military missions? No way. So what do you believe in all your heart about? Hashem. Just fast forward that the worst day of my life, worst day, absolute worst, was the best day of my life. And that's axiomatic for what we teach and we live, because if we don't walk the walk, we don't talk the talk. The first principle of Amunah, I believe with the full and complete belief. Hashem, blessed be his name. He's not only creator, he's creator and director. All of creation. And he alone also he alone did, does, and will do. So what keeps me from PTSD is I don't see PLO, not Arafat, and not Syrians, not anybody, only Hashem. And that's the words of the Gaon of Vilna's greatest Talmud, called Rabbi Chaim of Volozhin. Rabbi Chaim Volozhin is called Ava Yeshiva. The first yeshiva, as we know today, was in Volozhin. And he said, one thing can save a Jew all calamity. This one thing I'm going to teach you, remember for the rest of your life. Whenever something looks seemingly bad in your life, Ein od milvado. There's no one but Hashem. There's nothing, no one, there's no Metzias, there's no reality. It's all that whatever you see is a mirage. Whatever you see is some trouble dressed up in it's something good dressed up in a Purim suit of trouble. It's all Hashem. So who is that Hashem that everything comes from him? Say, you guys have in Ma'ariv yet? You didn't have to tell Ma'ariv. We say in Ma'ariv before Kriya Shema, Ohev Amol Yisrael, that Hashem loves all of Am Yisrael. And the Torah tells us that we've got his spiritual DNA. The Torah says, Bonim Atem Hashem Lokechem, your beloved sons and daughters of Hashem. What does it mean to be a son? You know what it means to be a son or daughter of your biological parents. You're walking around with a DNA. They got these chromosomes from your father and these chromosomes from your mother, and you put them together, and out came your chromosome map, your DNA. Our neshamot, our souls. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the priest in his Yortzeit, Amad Ha'omer, he writes in the Zohar, in Parshat Breshit, that the Jewish soul is chelek elok mima'al. It's a tiny spark of Hashem. Wow. That you understand that why we Jews have to love each other? Why they're dumb if they look at bodies. They look at bodies. Oh, this one's Ashkenazi. This one's Sephardi. This one's religious. This one's not religious. This one's right. This one's left. I think people are dumb. That's your brother. That's your sister. Because they're walking around with that spark, the life force, the spark. That's your neshama. That's a spark of Hashem. So we don't know what Hashem is. That means we don't even know what our neshamas are, because the neshamas are this tiny spark of Hashem. But that's the difference between a live body and a dead body. And right before that body is about to leave the world, all the neshama wakes up. So don't wait until that moment. Don't wait until you have 30 seconds to live to get to know your neshama. We're going to talk about how to do that. But here I am, one Katyusha, one of our officers gets cut in half like a grapefruit. And then another one comes, and then my radio guy is right with me, my radio man, he takes a shot in the major vein of the thigh, and not fast, everything stopped. So he crouched down by the car, and I took out a tourniquet, and right away stopped his bleeding, otherwise he'd bleed to death. He says to me, Lazer, don't leave me, I'm not going anywhere. That's an interesting story with him. He lived another couple dozen years, and this is Rafi, my radio man. Fast forward, coming back, let's fast forward. I graduated from Esha Torah Rabbinical Yeshiva in 1991, and I was already a Rav. My first job as a Rav was Rav of prison. Okay, Rabbi Wolbe and I have the same alma mater and the same Rebbe, Rabbi Yitzchak Perkowitz, who's today the Rosh Yeshiva of Esha Torah. He's probably one of the greatest American rabbis alive today. Tremendous Talmud Chacham, one who we have the privilege of learning by him, both the Rav and I. Okay, and this was already, maybe it had been 4 years a Rav already. And when I became a Rav, I changed my name back to the original family name. I had a Hebrew last name, Zionist last name, and I can't write it down. Okay, so it was difficult to find me, and I wasn't in Yerushalayim anymore. I was in Ashdod. Rafi was on his deathbed. We're talking about 14 years after the war. Rafi, he used to smoke. Israeli soldiers used to smoke a lot. So Rafi had this bad lung cancer, stage 4, and it's under the respirator. I get a knock on the door from one of the other sergeants in my unit, and we had not been together because it's already for the last couple of years I wasn't in combat anymore. I was a military chaplain. They moved me over. I was slowed down a little bit. That wasn't a great chicken. At 39, I moved over to become a military chaplain. 40 years old. So, 2 guys from the unit, they come up. They said, Lazer, you know what we did to find you? We could find you. You changed your last name, changed your address, we got the whole shin bed to find you. I said, get in the car. I said, where are we going? I said, I remember that several times, get in the car. In the middle of what, get in the car means that we're going somewhere. I'm going to do something, but not anymore. I said, Rafi's calling your name. Maybe Rafi's calling you. He's been in a coma for 2 weeks. But he wakes up every hour and says, bring me Lazer. Tavili Lazer. It's the power of the Neshama. I had not spoken to Rafi for 14, 15 years. 14, 15 years, but here he's dying. And they call me. When I come there, you can see his AKG, boom, boom, boom. His blood pressure was something like 40/15. Jesus, it was on the way out. And so I whispered in his ear, and right away opened up his eyes, closed them right there, whispered in his ear. I said, Rafi, you don't hear, but your Neshama hears. And I asked the doctor what situation. Doctor says it's a miracle stayed till now. And I said, we're going to do Shema together, and we're going to do confession, Vidui. So I did with him Shema, did with him Vidui, and as soon as I finished, that's it. This is the power of the Neshama. He didn't know where I am, but he knew that Lazer was the guy that he could call to help him do Vidui for him and Kriya Shema for him, and that was it. It was finished. This is a part of Neshama. The Neshama, it's a tiny part of Hashem. Your Neshama knows everything, just like Hashem is omniscient. Your Neshama is omniscient. Your Neshama is timeless, just like Hashem is eternal. Your Neshama is eternal. So this is the great news. The great news. America tells you, okay, why Helena Rubinstein, Estee Lauder making so much money, and Gillette making so much money, and LA Fitness making so much money because your body. But that's bad news. If a person is body, that means no neshama. And if a person is body, that means every day is a day closer to the grave. No wonder 16 million Americans are clinically depressed, because their body. Who wants to wake up and it's a day closer to the Leviathan? Chas v'sholom. But if you're in the neshama, that's the good news week. Tiny part of Hashem, and you never, ever cease to exist. Eternal. Even that, Rabbi Nachman says when a person is neshama, and a person, how is it, you can see tangibly that a person is eternal. Okay, here the Rav teaches his children. The Rav teaches his Talmidim. What does he teach? The teachings are part of his neshama. It's like giving, when you teach somebody physically, okay, you're going to go donate blood. Oh, so you got a common blood type, you're B positive, oh, that's great, donate blood, you donate blood to someone. When you teach someone, whether it's your child, or whether it's a student, or whether it's a friend, you're giving part of your neshama. So they continue on what they learn from you. This eternalizes your neshama, as Rabbi Nachman says. Even without knowing what the Zohar says, that's a tiny part of Hashem, that's eternal anyway. These are more being eternal. That's why the power of being a mashpia, being influencing other people. And it doesn't matter if you're a Baal Tshuva for 2 weeks, and it doesn't matter if you're not a Baal Tshuva at all, but you learn something new. You learn something new that your friend or your neighbor or your lab partner in university doesn't know, and you teach them, and you're already a mashpia. Because you teach them something that they don't know. This is time. This is spreading the light. And this is what Yeshayahu Navi, Isaiah the prophet says, light unto the nations. This is our job, to spread this light of spirituality all over. So now back in the crossfire, I'm putting on tourniquet and Rafi, and machine gun fire goes through it, crouched down by the car, and this glass fills here, and I took a chunk of glass in the eye, cut my eye wide open. And the eye feels very close with blood. It was Beirut in the summer. It was maybe 95 degrees, 88, 90 humidity, and blood coagulated very fast. It's all black out of the eye, it's all blood, nothing. Okay, that's it. No more right eye, finished. Okay, but Baruch Hashem, to Thad, we're positive, very optimistic. That was one of the criterions in our unit, the optimists weren't the Rambo types like the Rangers, SEALs. Israeli soldiers are different. Our special forces are different, very effective and very different. Not these big Rambo types. But have to have a real good heart and optimism. And there's a special forces mentality that when you go on a mission, it's already accomplished because there's no option for not accomplishing the mission. But you decide to get a small technical detail, I'm going to do it. That's all, small detail. So here we are, and now my day, and I got Rafi's pleading, don't leave me, he's starting to shake, he's delirious, going into a little bit of a shock, loss of blood, and a lot of pressure, so I'm not going anywhere. And then that 50-meter barrage fell, but I could feel everything in my stomach, and this is the 30-second. Now the 30-second life expectancy. Where I get this sadness. What's going to be with mom? What's going to be with dad? What's going to be with here? What's going to be? And I feel this feeling, oh, what I thought accomplishments are not accomplishments. And some kind of voices tell me you haven't done anything. And then that same voice comes back in a flash. But you're going to change your life. Come on. My forte was my willpower. All the other guys in the unit were stronger than me, faster than me. I had willpower. But so this my whole life. My whole life, everywhere I went, everybody was better than me. And we had the Eshet Torah and rabbinical coil. There are guys there from Harvard Law and guys there from Wharton, and they become rabbis, brilliant guys. And I had to learn 100 times what they memorized twice. Again, I was stubborn and decided, well, that's what my forte. So I think, wait a second. I'm hearing voices. So 50%, I'm spaced out. Okay, Lazer, you lost it. Too much pressure for you. You've now hit your pressure threshold and you're spacing out. Or 50%, maybe somebody's talking to you. Something I feel. It's not an audible voice. It's something you feel inside, deep inside. I have no idea how to describe it properly. I'm just saying words that try and give over the feeling, but to this day I can't describe it. And I said, wait a second, you change your life, but there's not going to be a life. It's about to terminate. And then the voice comes back again. I'm going to get you out of here. Oh, nobody's going to get me out of here. I'm in this gutter, and it's about finished. Finished, no more. Nobody get me out of here. Who can make a promise like that? This is all happening in maybe a second and a half, 2 seconds. But this is neshama time. This is Shem eternal. Neshama doesn't have a time. There's no time when Hashem up at Shemayim. What the David Melech says that 1,000 years for Hashem, it's like 1 day, even less, like 1 second. Neshama has no time. And all of a sudden, why I thought I was spaced out? Because nothing hurt anymore. Wasn't out of breath anymore. By the way, have you ever been in Purim in Shul when little kids shoot cap guns, when they say Haman's name? And you could feel it kind of choking in Shul because a little bit of gunpowder in the cap, it takes away the sulfur. When the cap explodes, it explodes by way of oxygen. It's a combustion between the sulfur and the oxygen. If that's a tiny cap and you're stuffy, you know what it is when bombs and gunfire and in summer and the sky was black. There are no clouds in the sky is black from the smoke. And we thought that before the next Katyusha hits, we're going to choke. It was hard to breathe. You could barely breathe. And gasping, and when you're gasping, I guess there's black smoke. Say the voice, wait a second, I'm going to make this promise. Nobody can make a promise to get me out of there. And again, 50-50. 50% I'm spaced out. 50% is what I think it is. And then comes back and we do like a review sure. The voice give me a review. Yeah, you're going to get out of here, but you're going to change your life. And then in my heart, I said, done deal. No way I'm getting out of here. But I don't know what this is. Change your life, how to change your life. Somebody's has to show me what. And if you who are, I think you are, I'm going to get to know you. And then start miracle after miracle after miracle. Miracle after miracle after miracle. No way to get out of there. By the way, Arik Sharon had said on that day, if the squad calls in infantry, artillery, and if the squad calls in air support, nobody's allowed to enter West Beirut. They're on their own. All of a sudden, scream down from the sky, these 2 jet planes with great big Mogen Davids on them. And they go up one side of the street, they strafe exactly where there's heavy machine gun fire. Israeli pilots are great with machine guns. It's a 22 millimeter machine guns. They're deadly. And Israeli pilots are known, not just in heavy bombs, they can do that. And where the Palestinian and the terrorist snipers were, all of a sudden that's quiet. And then they go around in a big circle, and on the mountains outside of Beirut, where the Syrian artillery was, boom, they knocked that out. This is it. Why did they knock that out? So now the Syrian artillery is quiet. So all that's left is the Katyushas and the Russian embassy. And for some strange reason, the next 30 seconds, it didn't come. It didn't come. And by that, here we are, we're 12, but we're not 12 anymore. We're 4 guys are out. We didn't know 2 at the time that lost their lives. 2 more were very badly injured. All of a sudden, this half-track, medical half-track, and out jumps these paratroop medics. And these are regular paratroopers. They have the special fatigues. They're the only ones that wear their shirt outside. They wear their shirt outside, their fatigue pants, and they have a belt. The red waisted parachute. And they don't wear black combat boots, they wear red combat boots. Back then, my time, they were the only ones. And I said, can we help you? And I said, we can't do anything. They're down with having these injured guys. They took the 4 injured guys, put them on the half-track, half-track. And dropped them off 3 kilometers right south of Beirut, near Timor, where the forward military hospital, Israeli military hospital was. That's miracle number 2. And then we got together and recruit, and we went in. I didn't even know where I was going. It was like being guided, and had this shortcut. And you know, if I said miracle 3, all of a sudden I get a flash of light in my eye, and I realized I wasn't blind. The dude just said, it's got to cut bad. That gave me so much power, a surge of power. And the rest is history. We did a sprint, maybe the broken Olympic record. It's all the stuff we carry. And right away, point blank, this history. That's how we did it. That the Israeli army was come in and do what they needed to do. We got back. The story's not over yet. We have brothers in arms and gratitude. Nobody has to teach us gratitude. When you're willing to put your life on the line for a comrade, you have gratitude. And he has gratitude. So they took me now to the hospital to do something to my eye, and eventually had to have a operational treatment. But I said, where are the medics? Where are the paratrooper medics? I gotta say thank you to these guys. And we couldn't have done it without them. And officer looks at me, and he was with the unit shrink. Like a doctor, Segal Aluf, Lieutenant Colonel. He said, the Lazer's been under a lot of pressure. He said, the nearest paratroopers were 30 kilometers away, south of Beirut, paratroopers. And I said, well, I don't know, get the old Air Force, got to thank those 2 pilots, they saved us. I said, what 2 pilots? They looked at each other like, you know, they're looking at me like, okay, calm down, calm down. I thought I was in shock. No pilots. Who are the 2 pilots? Oh, but the 2 wounded guys, they made it to the hospital. They brought to the hospital. Who brought up to the hospital? Who was that half-track from? To this day, there's no explanation. So when they tell the story in Israel, they say, oh, that's Lazer's story. He's got, became a Baal Tshuva, he kind of lost his mind. You know, it's a very politically correct thing. Baal Tshuva, you lost your mind. But nobody can explain how the mission got done. Hold it. The story is not over. There are 8 of us that came back with our, more or less, our original. But Rafi with lung cancer. Rafi didn't make tshuva, he died of lung cancer. Another one of the officers, head-on collision. Another one of the soldiers committed suicide. His wife was one by one. So there is me and my lieutenant. My lieutenant was a Yemenite soldier. He was what's called national religious. He had a farm in Gush Katif. Okay, but he said this is his level of observance. He's not going to go further. This is level of observance. He lost his farm, Gush Katif. Gorgeous farm, gorgeous villa. He had to move his family to some south of Ashdod. It's called Neitzanim. They have like this caravilla They have these prefab houses from the gorgeous villas and gorgeous farm. They've been in this temporary thing. To this day, they don't have a proper place. Lost everything. Wow. See, when somebody does outright miracles, the person has outright miracles, and say, well, this is the course of the nation. So this is exactly what happened to Israel in the Yom Kippur War. See, in retrospect, after the 6-day war, when all the Arabs wanted to destroy Israel, and everybody was sure, the Arabs were already picking out Jordan. There were Jordanians, they were deciding who's going to have what house in Jerusalem. The Egyptians, they said Beersheba, everything up to Tel Aviv. The Syrians, all of Haifa, they decided they were parceling out Israel already. And then a miraculous 6-day war. What happened? Diane, Golda, the power of our might, our military prowess, and this and that. 6 years later, 6 short years later, almost lost. Israel was a hair's breadth. That's a whole different story. What happened in Yom Kippur? I don't know, was it to claim a lazy? How come you didn't make true in Yom Kippur? How can you stop and think about it? Oh, it's into this world, all of us are into this world. Okay? But what happens is when Hashem gives us little indications and we don't listen, Hashem has to raise the volume. My beloved son, my beloved daughter, come home to me. It's for your own good. It's for your own good. Come home to me. Okay. Don't wait until that point. Don't wait. Listen to the whisper. Hear the whispering in the Neshama. How do you hear the whispering in the Neshama? To rearrange body soul priorities. Make the body subservient to the soul. That the body is here to learn Torah, to do mitzvot. But as the Sefer Haredim tells us, Rabbi Lazer Brody, everybody knows Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh. He was a Talmud of the Arizal that wrote that sonnet. He also wrote a book called Sefer Haredim. Sefer Haredim talks about all the mitzvahs, how they correspond to the parts of the body, and what mitzvahs are beneficial to what parts of the body. So I say it's the whole thing. Last night in a conservative shul in Phoenix, we gave a talk about body and soul. People ask me, what do I need to keep mitzvahs for? I'm a good Jew in my heart. I said, wait a second, that's difficult. There's 613 mitzvahs that correspond to 613 parts of the body. And you're taking all 613, which should be distributed to the body, you're putting all that load in your heart. That's not good for your cardiac health. But you see, we keep mitzvot just as if someone was an athlete. Okay, I'm an athlete, I want to be a champion athlete. All right, let's do a proper nutrition. We give a whole list of things that you must eat, and a whole list of things that you can't eat, and how to work out and how to train. But now we have 613 parts of the body that correspond to 613 mitzvot, and the 613 mitzvot correspond to 613 parts of the soul, that the vitality of every part of the body gets its vitality from a mitzvah, from the part, because it's 613 rules. It's called the Zohar says that Olot and Shema. These 613 Talyah Olot, 613 Olot. So what happens when a person doesn't keep Shabbat? That part of the neshama that depends on Shabbat, the person's going to be really stressed out, because that's why the person doesn't keep Shabbat. It causes stress. Stress. A person doesn't eat kosher. A person doesn't eat kosher, then he can't pray, can't learn Torah, can't feel Hashem. If a person doesn't eat kosher, we talk about Hashem, talk about what's flowing from here. Because the non-kosher food serves, it's like when a person smokes cigarettes, chas v'shalom, it leaves tar on the lungs. Non-kosher food leaves tar on the neshama. Tar on the neshama is translucent, where it reflects Hashem's light. The cleaner neshama is, the brighter Hashem's light. That's what we call in Yiddish, a lichtige neshama, an enlightened neshama. You see a person when it is enlightened, he or she is smiling, you can see it reflecting from their eyes. It's a person that's really close to Hashem. Not close to Hashem, but what we call frum, frum religious. Say the word frum. Now say the word frum while you smile. You can't do that. Try it. Oh, doesn't work. I say the word emunah. Emunah, you can smile. Emunah, that's a contact. That's your personal contact with the Shem. So I learned a lesson in emunah. I didn't know it was a lesson in emunah until much later. I started learning about it. But that was my lesson in emunah. What's the take home from Beirut? Is that you can have your own personal relationship with Hashem, and you can speak to Hashem, and Hashem can speak to you back. I said, "Oh, come on, Lazer, he's spaced out. He's still, I speak to Hashem, Hashem speaks to me back." Okay, the Rebbe is a marathon runner, right? Okay, so Rebbe Zabaska, I guarantee you, when she's running, it probably takes her, before she starts running, it probably takes her 2 minutes to tie her shoes. She ties her shoes very carefully. So marathon runner, if the shoes aren't tied carefully, there's going to be pressure on the metacarpal. She's going to feel it after 5 miles, after 10 miles, after 15 miles. She's very careful. But a marathon runner, it's not a matter that he or she feels their quads. Everybody knows that these are called the quads, and these are the hamstrings, and these are the calves, and these are the glutes. But when they're running, and if they're slightly out of balance, slightly at the gate, they feel not the glutes, they feel the gluteus maximus, the gluteus minimus, the gluteus medius. She knows exactly, a marathon runner can feel every single muscle because they're in contact. A weightlifter, it's not a biceps and triceps. He can feel, if he's learned a little bit of anatomy and physiology, he can feel exactly where he's getting paid because he's putting the body under extreme pressure. Now, these are champion athletes. They can feel that. But when you're a champion emunah person, you're a champion neshama, you can feel that neshama, you can feel Hashem's light, you can feel Hashem's message. And this is why the big tzaddikim, where do they know? How do they know the future? How do they know this? How do they know this? How do they know the answer to this? It's not just Ruach HaKodesh, it's their antennae are so sharp. We all understand how a marathon runner or an Olympic weightlifter feels every part of their body. A person with an attuned neshama that is careful about Hashem's mitzvahs, that has yirat shamayim, the awe of Hashem, I don't want the word fear of Hashem, the awe of Hashem, and avat Hashem, the love of Hashem, can feel his neshama. Now Rashi gives us an amazing lesson. Rashi says, Mida toiva meruba memida ponut 500 pa. Rashi looks at the 10 Commandments. When Hashem says, those that go against me, they're going to be punished for 4 generations. But those who do my will, they're going to be rewarded for 2,000 generations. So Rashi makes a quick calculation right there. Rashi says 2,000 divided by 4 is how much? 500. So Rashi says, Mida toiva meruba memida ponut. He says the measure of good is 500 times stronger than the measure of difficulty, the measure of negativity. So if I could feel Hashem under such negativity, do you know what it means? If you go to Hashem and you're not in a war and you're not hungry and you've got enough to eat, you got a roof over your head, and you say, Hashem, I want to have my own personal relationship with you. This is emunah. We're not talking about frumkeit. We're not talking about religious. We're not talking about it. I want my own personal relationship with you. You know what happens when I have a personal relationship with Hashem? You have a smile on your face. You're happy. You're fulfilled. Because Hashem is no greater love. If you imagine your dream love, and people, why people get divorced? They say, a guy comes to me and he says with his wife, she doesn't meet my needs. I said, first off, you read in the bond of Amunah, it's not to meet your needs. She's the moon, you're the sun, you're to meet her needs. The sun, the moon doesn't have any light of love. Is that so? It's not that. Hashem, to meet my needs. A relationship with Hashem. This is the Neshama, and that's why it's called Father in Heaven. Tati in Himmel, Father in Heaven. And this is the dream love. Can you imagine someone who loves you a million times more than your parents do? Imagine someone that loves you the way you are, just the way you are. people think, well, why do you think Hashem is mean and Hashem has demands? Because we project authority figures onto Hashem. Somebody had an abusive father, they think Hashem is an abusive father in heaven. Somebody had an abusive teacher, an abusive army commander, they say, oh, Hashem is he's like a drill sergeant, ready to smack somebody with a baton or a bolt of lightning. You get all these crazy stuff that's just garbage in our head because we don't know and we don't have a personal relationship with Hashem. You have a personal relationship with Hashem, you know that even the bad stuff is to bring you closer. You'll never see an Olympic boxer complain that he got hit. The coach says, because that's part of the turf. You'll never see a guy in special forces, not a U.S. SEAL, not a Ranger, not a Marine, complain that the training is hard. Okay, training's hard. You're in a volunteer unit. Go be a mail clerk. And the U.S. SEALs, they have in the training base, they have this bell. It's like a little Liberty Bell. Anytime a guy wants to throw in a towel, no problem. You go, you're ringing the bell. They say, okay, you're good with your stuff, and you become a regular sailor on a ship. U.S. Navy SEAL, they don't force you. It's all volunteer. So what are you guys are going through purgatory, that their final graduation week, it's called Hell Week. It's beyond purgatory. Why don't they throw in a towel? Because they know what they're doing, and they believe in what they're doing. They believe in their country, and they believe what they're doing. So these guys, they don't have PTSD because they believe in what they're doing. When you have a munah, and you know that everything Hashem does is for the best, and if Hashem does difficulty, it's to make you stronger, because nobody gets a munah from eating chocolate ice cream. And again, back to body in Western society, path of least resistance, and the tuti, comfort zone, emunah is not comfort zone. Sorry, folks. But emunah is the greatest gratification it could be. If we go one by one, Moses did not have a comfort zone life. King David, probably the most difficult life ever. Avraham Avinu, Abraham, one by one, anybody who was great in the Jewish world did not have a comfort zone life. And so Hashem's commandos. So one thing, my message. Decide to learn Emunah and establish your own personal relationship with Hashem. Once you have a personal relationship with Hashem, it's in our book, The Path to Peak, we talk about that. Psychologists say their person only fulfills 10% of his or her potential. You know why? That's body. And that's human intellect. Human intellect is still body. Divine intellect is above human intellect. Divine intellect is Amunah. Amunah is above the stars. Abraham, he looked in the stars. He was the greatest astrologer. His name was Abram at the time. And he saw in the stars, Abram will never be a father. We're all proof that he was wrong. And Hashem says to Abram, get out of your astrology. Say it's Taganuchika. I don't need it. And Hashem added a hey to his name and took Sari and changed her name to Sarah. And we're all proof of Emunah. We're all proof what Hashem taught Abraham. Where's grandchildren? When you have Emunah and you cultivate your Emunah, your own personal relationship with Hashem, everything in Judaism becomes meaningful. Everything becomes fulfilling. It's your run to do the mitzvahs, you run to learn Torah, you run to light Shabbos candles, you run to do chesed for the people, and it's not a pain. Even something like Pesach cleaning. I'm doing it because it's all a metaphor. As I'm cleaning the house, I'm cleaning my soul, and this is what I need to do more than once a year. Really, every day should be Pesach cleaning on Shabbat. But everything, the junkiest mitzvahs, chas v'sholom, no junkie mitzvahs. But what we consider the junkie, we're changing the dishes and cleaning the house. It becomes a song in your heart because you're doing it out of love, because you believe in it. And you do it out of love because you know you have a loving Father in heaven that He loves you, and that's the true love. And Hashem should bless all of you, that you should be able to fulfill all your heart's wishes for the very best beyond your dreams. Because as soon as you plug it through alone, you're going to see your potential is exponentially higher than what you think it is. And Amunah will teach you that you're much better than you think you are, because you're son and daughter of Hashem. And I'll leave you with one thought. modern society and back to the Gillette and Helen Rubinstein and all that. You know what the worst Yetzer Hara is in this generation? It's not what you think it is. That's the second worst Yetzer Hara. The worst Yetzer Hara, the worst evil inclination is when you think you're not good enough. When you think you're not good enough, you're saying that the Creator who created you, He's not good enough. But He created you perfection. If He created you, it means that the universe cannot exist without you. And your thumbprint is proof. Nobody else has that. Hashem gave you your own spiritual DNA together with your physical DNA that you could perform a task that no one else on earth can do. You won't be able to find that task until you develop your own. The more you have your personal relationship with Hashem, Hashem will take you exactly where you need to go. And that's going to be a great place with a great life until 120 years of Mashiach, whichever comes last. Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Brody. Rabbi Brody is going to be tomorrow at the Porch Center at 7 p.m. Additionally, Rabbi Brody has authored dozens of books, many of which are available here. They're $10 a book. And if you'd like Rabbi Brody's autograph or signature, they'll be available for a while. You have brachas and the like. Either way, have a terrific evening, everybody. Thank you very much. And those who want to have a marriage will have a marriage now. Hands here, so much. All right, so the books. So the books.
Rabbi, you want to give us a quick umbrella? My wife is Ashkenaz Rabbi? Oh, I'll go, Rabbi. I want to ask you this.